You go through the day. You do the things you're supposed to do. You talk. You talk. You work. You exist. But somewhere underneath all of it, there's this quiet feeling like you're watching your own life from a distance. Like you're a guest in it. Not fully in. Not fully present. If you've ever felt that way, you're not broken. But you do need to understand something important about what's happening inside you. Because this feeling has a name. And once you understand it, everything starts to make sense. There's a mode your brain can get stuck in. Scientists call it survival mode. But that phrase doesn't quite capture what it actually feels like from the inside. Because survival mode doesn't always look like panic or chaos. Sometimes it looks like a perfectly normal Tuesday. You're making coffee. You're answering emails. You're nodding along in conversations. And yet, something is missing. You're there, but you're not there. Psychologists call this emotional numbing. A state where your nervous system has been under so much pressure for so long that it started dimming the signal. Not just the bad feelings. All of them. The joy. The excitement. The sense that what you're doing actually matters. And here's what nobody tells you about that. It doesn't happen because something is wrong with you. It happens because something was too much for you. For too long. Think about when this might have started. For most people, it didn't begin last year. It began much earlier. Maybe you grew up in a home where emotions weren't safe to express. Where you learned, very young, that the best way to survive was to go quiet inside. To stop wanting too much. To stop feeling too loudly. Or maybe it wasn't dramatic at all. Maybe it was just years of pushing through. Years of telling yourself you're fine when you weren't. Years of performing okayness so convincingly that eventually even you believed it. The brain is remarkably adaptive. If you tell it through your actions and your choices that feelings are dangerous, it will protect you from them. It will build the walls. And those walls work. Until one day you realize the walls don't just keep pain out. They keep everything out. Here's what survival mode actually does to you, and why it feels so confusing from the inside. Your nervous system has two main settings. There's a state of safety, where you can think clearly, feel fully, connect with other people, make decisions that align with who you actually are. Psychologists call this the window of tolerance. It's where real living happens. And then there's the state your body goes into when it perceives threat. When your system decides, consciously or not, that the situation requires defense. In this state, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for creativity, connection, and long-term thinking, goes partially offline, and your survival brain takes over. Now, here's the part that explains so much. This threat response was designed for short bursts. A predator. A crisis. Something that ends. But when the threat is chronic, when it's a difficult home, a stressful job, a relationship that slowly drains you, a childhood that asks too much of you, too soon your nervous system doesn't get the signal that it's over. It stays on. And over time, that becomes your baseline. You stop noticing it because it's all you've ever known. You're not living your life. You're managing it. There's a difference. Living feels like presence, like being inside the moment, even when the moment is ordinary, like tasting your food, like laughing and actually feeling it in your body, like wanting things, real things, and feeling the aliveness of that wanting. Managing feels like distance, like getting through, like crossing things off a list that doesn't mean anything to you, like watching yourself from slightly outside, wondering when you're going to start feeling like yourself. Most people who come across this video have been in management mode for so long. They've forgotten what the other thing felt like. And because it's so normalized, they don't even have a word for what's wrong. They just know something is. And this is where it gets important, because survival mode doesn't just affect how you feel. It affects every major area of your life, in ways you might not have connected yet. It affects your relationships. When you're in survival mode, true intimacy feels dangerous. Not consciously, you might desperately want to be close to someone, but your nervous system reads vulnerability as threat. So you pull back. You keep things surface level. You care, but from a safe distance. And then you wonder why you feel so alone, even around people you love. It affects your ambition. You have ideas. You have things you want to build, create, become. But survival mode keeps you small, because taking a risk requires believing you're safe enough to fail, and your body doesn't believe that. So you wait. You prepare. You almost start, and years pass. It affects your sense of identity. When you're not fully present in your own life, you lose the thread of who you are. You know what you're supposed to be. You know the role you play. But the deeper question, what do I actually want? What do I actually feel? What do I actually believe? Goes unanswered. Because accessing that requires a level of safety your system hasn't felt in a long time. Here's the part that might surprise you. The goal is not to fix yourself. The goal is to help your nervous system learn, slowly, that it's safe to come out. Because you are not broken. You're protected. There's a version of you underneath all of this that is curious and present and capable of real joy. Survival mode didn't erase that person. It just built a wall around them. And walls come down the same way they went up slowly. With evidence. Evidence that it's safe to feel. Evidence that vulnerability won't destroy you. Evidence that you're allowed to take up space, to want things, to be fully here. That evidence doesn't come from thinking your way through this. It comes from small, repeated experiences of safety. A relationship where you risk honesty and nothing bad happens. A moment where you sit with discomfort instead of running from it. A decision you make not from fear, but from something quieter and more true. This is the thing about healing from survival mode that most people don't expect. It's not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself. One day, you're eating something and you actually taste it. One day, someone makes you laugh and you feel it, really feel it, in your chest. One day, you catch yourself making a plan for the future and realizing you actually believe in it. That's not a small thing. That's you coming back. And the fact that you're watching a video like this, that you recognized yourself somewhere in the last few minutes, that's not nothing. That's your nervous system, quietly, carefully, starting to wonder if maybe it's safe enough to try. You're not a guest in your life. You just haven't been introduced to it yet. But you're getting there.